scenario. Multiple times in other theories, I have defended Finner Brothers Realty. If that name doesn't ring a bell, they're the two realtors from The Princess and the Frog. The guys who said Tiana had the venue of her dreams and then suddenly said that there was another offer. Those guys. A lot of people say that the brothers were just being racist or sexist towards Tiana, and normally I'd agree with that scenario being accurate, especially back in the 1920s where this movie is set. But despite the one callous remark that one of the realtor brothers makes, something like a little woman of her stature would have her hands full, there are multiple issues with the idea of the real estate agents being bigots. For starters, Tiana is shown as nothing shy of beloved. She charms the pants off of everyone around her, and the Finner brothers don't seem to have any issues with her race or gender. If they did, why would they put her offer through to begin with? They could have just as easily told her no before they ever came to take the sign off the place. The next counterpoint that I usually hear is that the old sugar mill didn't sell. It sat and waited, and that's how Tiana showed up and used Lewis to bully the Finner brothers into accepting her lower offer. So obviously that proves that the other buyer was fake and they just made him up. And that's a good point. But the people who believe that don't really get how real estate works. A realtor typically doesn't own the property they're selling. They're working for the property owner, the seller. A realtor's job is to bring all offers to their client, the seller, but the seller decides which offer to take. So if anyone was being a bigot, it wasn't the realtor brothers, it was whoever owned the mill. In The Princess and the Frog, we have no idea who owns the old sugar mill, but since it's been for sale for decades, as Tiana's father wanted to buy the place way back when, there's probably an interesting story behind the mill. I would say that the last owner who used the place as a functioning sugar mill made a ton of money, so much cash that his children lived like Miss Charlotte, and when the owner died, his rich heir inherited the mill but didn't want to work, so he put the building up for sale. Since the heir had money, he wasn't in a rush to sell, and so the old sugar mill sat and sat and sat, waiting for an offer that the heir felt was fair enough. That's where Tiana enters. She saved up her money, probably got a loan lined up from the bank too, and when she made an offer, the nameless seller accepted. However, until the documents are signed and money transfers hands, nothing is final. So why did the owner change his mind? It is possible that the owner found out that the offer came from an unmarried black woman, and he just did what everyone assumes the Finner brothers did, discriminated against Tiana. It was perfectly legal to behave that way back then, but I don't know. If you've waited years to unload a property and someone is finally willing to buy it, would you really reject their offer? I truly doubt it. So I sincerely believe that the other offer is legit. That all begs the question though, who could have made this other offer? Let me step in real quick and say that I would have loved it if Charlotte had purchased the old sugar mill because she knew Tiana was always talking about it. Those two ladies being partners, with Charlotte learning how to roll her sleeves up and be independent, and Tiana using all the money she saved to fix up the interior of the building. It would have been sweet, it would have been perfect, but alas, Disney didn't go this direction and also neglected to mention who this other buyer was. Here's what I think. The timing is too perfect because Tiana finds out about the higher offer minutes before she meets Prince Naveen in frog form, which ultimately prompts her to kiss Naveen and put the entire plot in motion. So Tiana had her restaurant almost in hand, then Prince Naveen and his servant make a voodoo deal, and suddenly Tiana has no restaurant? Do you see where I'm going with this? The cash offer on the mill was part of the voodoo magic. Now hear me out before claiming that this doesn't make sense. A huge part of the voodoo shadow demon's mantra is, you got what you wanted, but you lost what you had. In Naveen's case, he signed up to get the green, and we assume that's why he became a frog. Naveen got his green and lost his human form. But what if the voodoo spirits had additional plans? Voodoo is often seen like an evil genie wish, where no matter what you ask for, it's always going to come out twisted up and horrible. So what if part of the voodoo spell was meant to take away Naveen's freedom? By taking the restaurant away from Tiana and forcing Tiana and Naveen to meet, it created a situation where Naveen was suddenly stuck being partnered with someone, which took away his freedom in the short term, but then also in the long term as well, as Naveen fell in love with Tiana. Then, when the talisman gets broken and the spirits take the Shadow Man away, suddenly the other buyer from the old sugar mill is nowhere to be found either. I can hear what you're saying, but why did Tiana get involved? She didn't make a voodoo deal with anyone. And you are correct, but she does make a wish on the evening star, Evangeline. And she first does this when she's a little girl. So the wish was set in motion when Tiana was like 5 years old, but it didn't come true right away because Tiana's father interrupts her and says, no, wishing is only half the battle. You have to work hard to get what you want. The star was listening to this in whatever way it is that stars can hear wishes, so the star didn't act immediately. Notice that Frog Naveen shows up right as Tiana is wishing for her restaurant again. Everything, including the voodoo curse, was part of the star's plan to make Tiana earn her wish through hard work. Naveen didn't show up out of nowhere. Don't tell me that you believe that out of all the girls at that party and all the girls in New Orleans, Naveen randomly finds his way to Tiana first. And because of their journey together, Tiana is ultimately able to get her restaurant and learn how to give herself a personal life as well. So this all means that we've got two different sides of magic, the evil voodoo spell and the good-hearted wish-granting star. And these two forces came together and balanced each other out so that instead of the magic being all good or all evil, life lessons were learned by Tiana and Naveen, giving them the opportunity to balance out as people. I know, the movie ends with a lot of happily ever after, but consider that in good versus evil, neither side can really win. They both always exist. However, after the talisman broke, the evil side no longer had a dog in this fight. So evil basically got bored and quit the game, giving the Evening Star even more of an ability to push Naveen and Tiana together romantically, then get the fake buyer out of the way, and create the happy ending that Tiana wished for as a little girl. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. We're expanding, so I have to plug our other channels. Total, we have the Fangirl, dealing primarily with movies and shows, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming, and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Links are in the description, and we would love to see you at all three channels. Okay, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. We have tons of material across our various channels that you are fully encouraged to go check out. And if somehow you can't get enough of me, please connect with me on Instagram at sayhalogoodbye or Twitter at _Fanily.